the explosion is less than a week away. The Staffing Sales Summit in Orlando. What's up, Johnny?
Richard, how are you, my friend?
Dude, special day for you, man. Can you explain, man? It's Ash Wednesday, right?
It is, and I had someone with a heavy thumb that put some ashes on my forehead this morning, so I am branded for a good long while.
You are branded, man. I don't think I'm going to call you John. You're just going to be called Ash, all right? We got Ashley, and we got our guest today. We got Rob and Ashley on. I mean, Simple VMS, man. These experts here with sales and everything else we're going to talk about today is awesome. So they are Cincinnati. So right off the bat, Skyline Chili. Is it good or bad? What do you guys think? Come on.
In the world.
So good.
I can't go a week without having it. If I travel for work, it's my first stop when I get off the plane and pick up my car.
Okay, so you got to define what is Skyline Chili because everybody has differentiations. You guys are from Cincinnati. Tell us what it's really about.
You're asking somebody who knows a lot about a lot of things, and it's actually Greek origination. So if you've ever had some Greek dishes that have cinnamon or sweetness to it, it's chili with that same sweetness to it. We put it on hot dogs and then pile fresh shredded cheddar cheese on top of it. Or what freaks people out even more is we put it on top of spaghetti and pile that same cheese on top of it, and it's great. But you got to have the hot sauce. You got to have the hot sauce.
Yep.
Okay, so is there a certain hot sauce? What is there, like Tabasco, or it doesn't matter?
Skyline has their own hot sauce, and Tabasco doesn't taste as good as Skyline hot sauce on their cones.
Richard, I will tell you, I used to have to go to Cincinnati for work, and the first time I had it, I was hooked. One of the managers of a company I worked for out there, he took me there. He used to work at a Skyline, and I was blown away. And so much so that I have ordered it to be shipped to my house, because you can order it, they freeze it and send it out.
Yeah.
And you're right, Rob. It's got a little, I think it's got like cinnamon in it. It's got a little sweetness to it.
Yeah.
It's just so unique. And yeah, Ashley, I like to put it over spaghetti.
Yeah.
People either absolutely love it or absolutely hate it.
There's two types of people that are not from Cincinnati: people who love Skyline and people who hate it.
And do you realize I have orange on today to cheer for the Bengals, even though I'm a diehard Steeler fan? I don't even know why I put orange on, John, but I think it's still that Duncan commercial, man, from the Super Bowl. Still got me rolling, man. I love that commercial.
That one was good.
Badass. All right, so Ashley and Rob, give us the 2-minute tour. Ashley, just start off. Tell us who you are and what you're about, and then we'll deep dive into it.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm Ashley Young. I'm a senior sales executive here with Simple VMS. Been here about a year and a half, came from the staffing side, so I know kind of a little bit about both. So excited to be here. Yep.
And my name is Rob Geist. I'm one of the founding members of Simple VMS. I'm now I'm the Senior Vice President of Growth. I just got my title changed recently, so I had to remember it there.
I love these titles.
I know. But we came from the staffing world as well. So Jason Oswald, who's the president of Simple VMS, I worked with him at an accounting and IT staffing firm. We were working with Chimes and Beeline back in the day. And to make a long story short, the software was terrible. And Jason had an idea. He said, we can do this better. It can be more user-friendly. And the other two things he said is this doesn't only have to be used in Fortune 500 companies. Smaller companies need this as well. And then the final piece is it always seemed like the VMSs or MSPs treated the vendors like second-class citizens. We were staffing vendors. So we treated the agencies like equally important parts of the process. And now that's who sells most of our business for us is staffing partners who want us instead of our competition out there. So that's kind of where it all came from.
Good stuff. Okay, so now you're going to be speaking. Rob's there. Ashley's the sidekick today. So, I mean, in the sales world, we all know that this year, it's all about sales. Last year was recruiting, and the last couple of years. Now, people need customers. Yep. And Rob, you're going to break it down here, and we could just start off with this. I mean, your title sums it up. You just can't go in and say, I got staffing, and I got bodies for you. You got to bring value. So give us a little tidbit of what's going to go on at the presentation next week.
Yeah, absolutely. So I kind of really have a unique view of some of these buyers because I'm in the staffing world, but I'm staffing world adjacent. So they talk to me about the things that they value in the staffing partners that they have. And I'll tell you the biggest thing, and I think it's a misconception out there, especially with people who use VMSs, those clients still want those same relationships that they had before they had a software in place. And staffing, I think, forever will be the most relationship-driven industry that's out there for sure. But they also want staffing partners who are going to get creative and bring some different options to the table. So that's where the kind of back end tech stack for the staffing firms comes into place. It's their Swiss Army knife that they have to set themselves apart from the competition.
Gotcha. And you know what? Before we even go any farther, I'm going to pull this up. This is from Clearly Rated, John. So look at this. I mean, this is stuff we can talk about here, but as you can see, and you guys probably see this out there, I mean, companies are going to be using staffing firms. I mean, look at this in the next couple of years. I mean, big time,
Yeah, it's not going to go away. There's a shortage of skilled talent, and no matter how much the discussion is, and I'm all for upskilling, but ideally, companies want plug and play. Bring me someone that's done it before somewhere else that can sit in, that they don't have to do a whole lot of training in, and they can be productive. And that's always going to be the preferred method, and that's where the staffing firms can deliver. So for our industry, it's a good thing.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
And Ashley, going out in the field like you do all the time there and bringing value, just give us the insight when you're making cold calls, you're knocking on doors or whatever. What are you seeing on your side?
Yeah, I mean, the staffing industry is so much different than it was, even 2 years ago.
Oh my.
So, I mean, I absolutely love it. I love knocking on doors. I love talking to companies like that. So, but I mean, everybody's looking for technology. So, we're in a very good spot to be able to give them a solution that can streamline that whole process. And then it gives them the opportunity to either scale up on their staffing, or some companies are trying to scale down. So it gives an opportunity for either or. It depends on what's good for the organization.
Yeah, 100%. And you want to chime in, Rob?
Well, I think a lot of what clients are looking for is creativity. I had a client come to me and said, Rob, every staffing agency has walked in my door and not one of them had one thing creative to tell me, or one thing different than the next guy. Yeah, they screen better, they meet all their people, the same thing. And I went to one of my partners and told him this, and they actually, I'll give them a plug. They were recently acquired, but Belflex, they're here in Cincinnati.
Yeah.
They said, you know what we're going to do for that company is we're going to go have a mobile job fair in their parking lot. We're going to take our van out there. We're going to recruit people in their parking lot, and that got them the business. And it was something creative, quick, and effective. And it wasn't even technology either. It's just, you have to be willing to think outside the box in staffing today more than ever.
You got to be able to differentiate yourself.
Yeah.
As the old saying goes, we all technically do the same thing, but it's how you do it. It's how you treat people when you do it. It's the service you deliver. And to your point, Rob, it's, are you going to be able to bring something new to the table that someone else might not be doing that will help you gain more trust from the client and deliver, at the end of the day, it's all about delivering the talent. So if you're able to do that and be creative in how you do it and really partnering with the clients to do that, a lot of times you don't have that partnership. It's me delivering to you versus, hey, let's work together to put something together as a strategy to help get you the talent that you need.
And that's a really great point. I was at a business review with a client yesterday, and they had great relationships with the recruiters who were supporting them, but they really needed to be talking to the executives at the company because they needed some wholesale changes. So if there's any advice I could give to staffing firms out there, yes, it's great that your recruiter has a solid relationship with those clients, but sometimes you need to bring in the big guns to talk about things other than just filling, your fill time, your turnover, your other stuff like that.
You're exactly right on that. And it's something I love to do too, is actually bring them in the boardroom. After you get the contract, let's all have a meeting together. Everybody, supervisors, everything like that. Let's get on the same page. And there's so many times that even the CEOs don't even know what's going on the floor. But with that meeting with us all together, I can bring it all like, we're all a team together. And that's what you got to be. You got to be all on the same page. Yep. And I think something that you guys probably want to 100% transparency and overpromised. How many staffing firms go in and said, I have everybody for you? No, you don't. Not at all. Do you see that a lot, the overpromise stuff?
Oh, absolutely. So we actually give a lot of business to our staffing partners because our clients sometimes will come to us and say, Rob, I've got an opportunity in Dallas. We're opening up a new distribution center. Who should I use here? And what I've learned is I go to the partners that I know will say no if the business is not a fit for them, because I do not want to waste my clients' time and have them go through the whole process to get this new group onboarded if they're not going to actually deliver. So, we'll actually look at metrics in our system of those suppliers in that area and pick that way. But the overpromise, that's literally the opposite of our philosophy at Simple VMS. It has always been treat people like you want to be treated and underpromise and overdeliver. That's if we had a mantra, that's really what it would be.
Love that. And is there, I love the fact you brought something up. People are like, sales professionals are often, and Ashley, you can comment on this since you're in the field. Sometimes they're afraid to say no. They're afraid to say, we're not the best solution for that. What do you do in those situations, Ashley, when you get in front of someone and they're discussing what they need and you're like, back of your mind, you're thinking, probably not us. How do you handle that discussion?
Yeah, I mean, you just have to be, again, it comes back to that transparency. You have to say no. But maybe you can, offer an alternative. I may not be able to do this, but you know what? This, ABC company might. Or, I'm lucky with Simple VMS. It's extremely, it's good for any industry. So there's not a whole lot that I have to say no to here. But
that's a good thing.
It's true. It is true. But how many times in your 10-year staffing history did you tell somebody that they weren't, that the group you worked for were not the right fit for them, but then you ended up doing with that business with that same person at another organization down the road because they respected you and your honesty?
100%. Because there's nothing worse than promising you're going to do something and then not being able to do it. And that comes back to the whole relationships as well. You can't build a relationship on telling somebody that that you're going to do something that you can't. It's just not feasible.
100%. You know what? You guys summed it up. It's pretty much when you go into a sales meeting, you want them to talk and you listen. So many people in the staffing industry just want to chap. I got everything. I got the ATS. I got all this. Shut up and listen. Seriously, that's what they want. I mean, how do you take notes back when you talk the whole time?
It's so funny.
I agree with you more.
Yeah, Richard,
you
were talking.
Solve for a problem when you don't know what the problem is.
Well said. Well said. And delivering those solutions and adding value is what sales is all about. Richard, you were mentioning before we went on the air about people that walk in and they start selling to an audience and they don't even know what their business does. Doing that upfront research and homework, walking in, kind of getting a feel for, all right, here's what they do, here's their business, here's this person, here's their background, kind of anticipating that preparation. So many people don't want to put in the effort to do it, which for those that do makes it, I don't want to say easier, but makes it easier to make that impression. That's for sure.
You have to have a plan. Even when I went door to door back in the day, I'm sitting in the parking lot before I have the meeting. I'm there 15 minutes early. I'm getting a plan together, like in the zone, so I can get something out there. What kind of little trigger points I'm going to write down? What else am I going to hit them with? Even if it's like an award or something, you look at their profiles and stuff. As soon as I go in there, if they're a Penn State grad or wrestling or football, dude, we're going to jump to that right off the bat. Seriously, we are. And then you got them right there. Yeah. Let's do it.
What's the one stereotype that everybody can't stand when it comes to sales?
To me, it's the fact that we're a negative thing. I'm proud of being a salesperson because I add a ton of value to my clients, and I tell my team that. But I think, my mom, she's like, oh, another salesperson came in our office today. It's almost like a dirty word. And when you really have something and you're really bringing value, that stereotype gets blown out of the water. And that's why you got to be prepared, like Richard said, and you got to be willing to educate your client. That's a lot of what I do when I go in and I'm analyzing a client. I'm advocating for the agencies a lot of times here. I'm like, guys, I can see I have a client within 10 miles of here. They're doing the same job and they're paying $3 more an hour. I know you think you're saving yourself money, but how much are you actually losing because you don't get the production done, or you're paying overtime on that? So,
or people are turning over and then you're having to retrain and then
Right.
retrain.
It happens all the time, especially in manufacturing. It does. And you know what happens is all these staffing firms, I'm going to tell you because I see it all the time, they grab everything. It's like Pac-Man. They gobble everything up. They don't care because they don't want nobody else to have it. And then they don't service it. And guess what that does? Gives our staffing industry a bad name. I mean, there's people that walk in. How many times have you walked in and like, oh, another staffing firm? We just got burnt. I mean, seriously, 90% of the companies have got burnt by somebody in the past.
Yeah. And you know what? My philosophy is if you mess up, you fess up. So if you make a mistake like that, you go in, you admit your mistake, and you ask for forgiveness, and you say, hey, we're not going to do it again. It's just, everybody makes mistakes, and it doesn't have to be the end of a relationship if you screw up once.
Exactly.
So true. It's all in how you handle it.
Look at
look at that. That's wonderful.
Shout out to you, brother. There you go.
Right back at you.
Whoever it was on Facebook, we love you, man. We love stuff like that, man. It's all about making an impact. That was a little commercial break there. So, you know what? Talking about plan, guys. So how do you teach salespeople? I think leaders don't do that. They just say, get numbers. Go get numbers. John knows this too. We've had so many people on with sales training. They don't train the sales rep the right way. And that's why we have this sales summit next week to get everybody lined up. I mean, if you are in sales, this is the place to be. Just seriously, I'm excited about it to learn myself, but there's so many sales reps that go out and they have no clue. They're just out there passing brochures out and say, we're a people business. We can find you welders. That's not what it's about.
Yeah. And so I'll be honest with you. I was probably bad at that 2 to 3 years ago. And I got lucky, hired Ashley and her counterpart, Jay. And those two people got it and we got through it together. But I had to learn a lot of hard lessons. Not sure if you're aware, but about 6 months ago, we got acquired by Aviante. So now we're a separate division of Aviante. Yeah. And they actually have tools now for a learning management system that we can use for our new people. They have certifications that you have to get before you can start making cold calls. All these processes that we were like, why weren't we doing this 10 years ago? Because it made so much sense.
Because in staffing, it's all about run, and figure it out along the way.
Exactly.
It always is.
But congratulations again with Aviante. Absolutely. They're peeps of ours. You know what? That's great stuff for Rob and Ashley and all you guys there, man. It's a great family, and you guys are just going to grow together, man. I love it.
I do too. And that's part of what we'll talk about at the Sales Summit. But we're actually working on an integration now with Aviante. So Aviante users who use Simple VMS will no longer have to do duplicate data entry. The client will put the order into the VMS. The order will then flow directly into Aviante Bold. Then the recruiter can push that out to the talent. The talent can say, I'm interested in that job via their apps. And then the recruiter with the single push of a button can submit that person over.
Wow.
And the agencies are super excited about it. But the thing that's blown me away about it is how excited our clients are about this. They're like, oh my goodness, this is going to speed up our time to fill. We're going to get better quality. It's going to decrease the cost of recruitment for the staffing agencies. So, we'll have flexibility there. And it's not all about cost anymore these days too. I don't And that's another thing that I will talk about in my talk down at the Sales Summit. There are way too many things to differentiate yourself in this industry than for to just be cost. I am a firm believer.
You pay for what you get in our industry. If the staffing firms out there that's bottom feeders, I hate to say it like that, I see them all the time where their margins are so low, you're going to get what you pay for. It is what it is. I mean, seriously.
100%.
And then our clients are excited that the integration is going to make it easier for their staffing partners as well.
Yeah. They actually are excited for them and care. And that shocked me, but it shouldn't, because I started this whole thing out saying that relationships are still.
We know what's funny is you guys summed it up. Technology is helping us out. I always say technology is like a touchdown. You know what I mean? With all this, it's going to be so robust where you're going to have candidates, the easy part's about just getting on the phone. I mean, you're doing all the hard work for them. You know what I mean? Bringing everybody together.
Yeah, you're using technology to solve a problem, to enhance the process, which deepens the relationship. You're not just saying, oh, plug this in and it's going to take care of it for you. So that's where I think the differentiator is. You're using it to solve a problem and it's enhancing the relationship, not replacing it.
That's right. That's about thank you for putting it that way, John. That was awesome.
It is great. So Ashley, I got to ask you, since you're out in the field, what's your take on buying the list, like the lead list and all that stuff? I mean, we talk about this all the time.
Yep.
I make my own, be honest with you. That's how I do it. You got Apollo, you got, Zoom Info, you got all these out there.
Yep.
What is your take on that? Because so many staffing firms I see, they buy these lists, they comb them over and over again. You get the young salesperson and they just blast away with emails and stuff. Give me your take on all this.
I'm not a fan. I mean, I'm a hunter. So I've always been knock on the door. I love Zoom Info. I love LinkedIn. I use LinkedIn like some other people use, every other social media. So I'm a scroller on LinkedIn at 10 o'clock at night kind of girl. But I'm not a fan of the list.
But Ashley, you've taken me on some of your cold calls because walking indoors was not my forte. I was always a phone guy. And the thing that blew me away about it, Richard and John, is all the information we found out that wasn't on Zoom Info. All the companies that had temps there that I didn't see them on Zoom Info, or I didn't see that decision maker that the front desk told me was the person who makes that decision in Zoom Info. So you can get so much. It's all about intel. It's intel and educating yourself. So that's what shocked me the most about walking indoors. And Ashley, she will stop a person that just walked out the door and said, "Hey, are you a temp here? Are you a full-time employee?"
Love that.
She'll get information from whoever she can get it from. She's tenacious in a good way.
Well, what's funny about the list though, we got to at the end is seriously, things are going so quick. That list is obsolete in 2 weeks. You know what I mean? Seriously, people's leaving jobs, getting terminated, stuff like that. So, and I've used all them lists before, even 3 years ago. And all these emails are bounced back. You're like, oh my God, get all this money. So at the end of the day, I say use it, but you got to use different formats. You got to use a little bit of everything, Just like you say, the grassroots recruiting is still, me and John, we know that. We love that kind of stuff. That grassroots, getting out there, even when it's a sales rep, get out there and show your face. Get off the phone all day. Get out there and mingle too.
Yep. And you never know when that perfect opportunity. I mean, when I was in staffing, I walked in a door, there was a guy coming out in a hard hat on his cell phone that was on the phone with an HR rep and was like, here. I mean, you don't get that when you're calling from a list.
That's great.
And one thing I recommend people do, and I know the networking events are just a lot of salespeople sometimes, but you get a core group of people who aren't competing against one another, but sell to the same audience. And then you can share so much information with each other. So, that's something I would recommend any new salesperson starting out. Get out there, network with other salespeople who are selling different products than you, but to the same audience, and build that group up, because that's how you'll win business too.
You got that right. And even the industry sectors like manufacturing association, or if it's a healthcare association, join them. Usually there's no staffing firms even joining these. They all join the chamber. You join these, you got 400 manufacturing companies shaking hands. You're at a trade show. You're the only one there. And now I see a couple staffing firms here and there, but they're missing the plug on these associations. Join whatever niche you have.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Man, this is some good stuff here. I can't wait till next week. I mean, Rob, I'm sure the weather's okay right now, but I just want to get down to some nice warmer weather. It's freezing here right now, but sunny.
Yeah, same here. And yes, I know you're going to be fishing on Tuesday, so I'm jealous of that. I will be sitting by some sort of body of water while I'm waiting for the welcome reception. So I can promise you that.
Well, come on down because the sun is shining in Florida.
That's great. Any final thoughts, Ashley, before we wrap this up about, any sales tips or anything else you can give anybody else out there?
No, I mean, active listening. I would say that is the biggest. I mean, we've touched on it a little bit, but just listen to your prospects because you can't solve anything for them if you're not listening to what their problems are.
100%. And Rob, want to break it down?
Yeah, my last thing, if I were a salesperson, keep adding to your Swiss Army knife that you have in your pocket, right? Because you never know when you're going to need somebody. So, I never want to tell a client no. I don't have an answer for you for that. So I call it my Swiss Army knife, and that might be a friend of mine who sells something that I can.
Look at that, John Rambo over there.
I got a Swiss Army knife.
You first blood kind of guy.
Yeah, keep building that and be creative, and you just can't take no for an answer. You got to be persistent and not pushy. That's the big thing, right?
I always say keep the emotions out of it at times and just go in for, to be a collaboration. Johnny, final thoughts, man, before we get out of here and head to Florida, man.
I really don't have anything to add from what they just shared. Ashley and Rob, great stuff. And I agree 100% with the way you're approaching the business. Look forward to next week.
Can't wait to see you guys in person. Thank you so much for having me.
I got one final thought, and you're going to love this. Yo, WPRP in Cincinnati. How can you not leave a show without that? Come on. That's the real stuff. Oh my God.
WPRP in Cincinnati.
Hey, you guys will be singing that song all night now, right?
Exactly.
Well, hey, thank you everybody for joining in. We'll see you next week live from Florida at the Staffing Sales Summit.
That's right.
Take care.
Guys, appreciate you.
Thank you.
Take care.